A walk down the aisle of time. Imagine a quiet chapel, the wooden doors creak open. Candles flicker against ancient stone walls, and every eye turns as a bride begins her slow, measured walk down the aisle. For that one moment, the world seems to pause. Her dress, whether plain or adorned with lace and jewels, holds the gaze of all who witness it. The wedding dress is not merely fabric stitched together. It is a vessel of symbolism, a reflection of hopes, beliefs, and traditions carried across centuries. From the linen robes of ancient Egypt to the glittering gowns of modern catwalks, the bridal dress has always been more than clothing. It is a story told in silk and thread, a story of purity and power, of family honor and personal dreams. But how did this ritual begin? Why do cultures across the world mark the union of two souls with garments so carefully chosen? To answer this, we must step backward, far beyond the polished floors of modern ballrooms, past the golden glow of Victorian lace, beyond the courts of kings and queens, into the dust of ancient civilizations where the first brides stood, dressed not for photographs but for eternity. So, dear listener, let us walk together down the aisle of time. Let us lift the veil of history and trace the threads that bind us to our ancestors. For the dress you see today, floating in white on magazine covers and bridal boutiques, is only the latest chapter in a saga thousands of years old. From linen to lace, from red silk to ivory satin, the story of the wedding dress is the story of humanity itself, ever-changing, yet always sacred. Ancient beginnings. Egypt, Greece and Rome. The story of the wedding dress begins not in ivory lace or satin bows, but in the sands of the Nile. In ancient Egypt, weddings were sacred unions tied as much to the divine as to human love. Brides often wore simple linen garments, a reflection of both climate and culture. Linen was a holy fabric, associated with purity and eternity, for Egyptians believed the threads themselves were blessed by the gods. But make no mistake, even simplicity held power. A bride might adorn herself with gold jewelry, wide collars of beads, or a delicate headdress, each shimmering piece not just decoration but a talisman to guard her future. In Egypt, weddings were less about romance and more about binding families, estates, and spiritual duties. The dress was a vessel of symbolism, meant to honor both gods and ancestors. Travel now across the Mediterranean to ancient Greece, where brides prepared for marriage with rituals of bathing and offerings to Artemis, the goddess of the hunt and protector of women. Greek brides often wore robes of saffron yellow or deep red, colors of fertility and warmth. Their gowns were fastened with girdles, knotted in a way only the groom was meant to untie. Around their heads they placed wreaths of flowers, woven as prayers for harmony and prosperity. In Rome, weddings were spectacles of family prestige. Brides wore the tunica recta, a simple white garment woven in one piece by the bride herself, symbolizing purity and devotion. But the most striking feature was the flammeum, a veil of bright orange or flame-colored fabric. Romans believed this fiery veil shielded the bride from evil spirits. With shoes dyed the same color, she was said to glow like the hearth fire, the center of family life she was about to kindle. Thus, in Egypt, Greece, and Rome, we see the early threads of tradition. Fabric is purity, color is power, and adornment is protection. The wedding dress, though not yet a global standard, was already a stage upon which societies projected their deepest values. Medieval and Renaissance Europe. Power, faith and fabric. Step into the echoing halls of medieval Europe, where stone castles rose against cold skies and weddings were rarely love matches but alliances of power. A bride's gown was not chosen for modesty or romance but to display her family's wealth and influence. Silk from Byzantium, velvet from Venice, furs from the north, these fabrics spoke louder than words. Dresses were often dyed in rich shades of red, blue, or gold, each color carrying symbolism. Blue, associated with the Virgin Mary, represented fidelity and purity, long before white claimed that role. Gold embroidered patterns blazed like sunlight, a reminder of prosperity and divine blessing. Imagine the courts of Florence or Paris, brides in brocade gowns heavy with pearls, trains trailing behind them like rivers of wealth. To marry was to merge dynasties, and the bride herself was the emblem of this union. Every stitch, every jewel declared her family's place in the world. Veils, too, became more common, not merely shields from spirits, but symbols of obedience and humility before God. The Catholic Church placed increasing emphasis on weddings as holy sacraments, and the attire reflected both piety and grandeur. The turning point. Queen Victoria's white dress. The year was 1840. The young Queen Victoria of England stood before her people to marry Prince Albert. Her choice of gown shocked the world. Not crimson, not gold, not embroidered in jewels, but a dress of pure white satin, trimmed with delicate lace. Why was this so radical? White, at the time, was not the standard for brides. It was impractical, difficult to clean, and associated more with mourning than with celebration. Yet Victoria's decision was deliberate. By wearing white, she shifted the focus from royal grandeur to personal purity, modesty, and devotion. The dress became a symbol not of political alliance, but of a love match. Artists immortalized her gown in paintings, newspapers carried the image across Europe, and soon brides everywhere began to imitate the queen. White became the color of choice, associated with innocence and chastity. Lace surged in popularity, and floral orange blossoms became the crown of brides across the continent. Victoria's influence cannot be overstated. With one gown, she redefined bridal fashion for centuries. The white wedding became not only a tradition but a cultural expectation. It was no longer enough to wear one's best dress, the bride was now expected to don white, a ritual still dominant in Western weddings today. Thus, one queen's choice rewove the tapestry of bridal tradition forever. The 20th century. Fashion on the aisle. The 20th century saw the wedding dress evolve with breathtaking speed, mirroring the social revolutions of its time. In the 1920s, brides embraced the flapper spirit. Hemlines shortened, silhouettes loosened, and beadwork sparkled with the glamour of jazz-age nights. Veils often cascaded to the floor, paired with cloche-style headpieces. The bride was no longer bound by heavy gowns, she danced into her new life with freedom. The 1930s and 1940s brought the shadow of economic hardship and war. Brides wore modest gowns, often repurposed from existing dresses or crafted from parachute silk. The simplicity was not seen as lacking but as patriotic, a testament to resilience. Then came the 1950s, the decade of fairy tale weddings. Hollywood and royalty shaped bridal dreams. Grace Kelly's 1956 wedding to Prince Rainier of Monaco set a new gold standard: lace bodice, long sleeves, and a flowing skirt that remains iconic to this day. Brides worldwide sought to capture that timeless elegance. The 1960s brought experimentation, shorter hemlines, empire waists, and floral headbands. The 1970s echoed bohemian freedom, with flowing sleeves and natural styles. And then, the 1980s, a decade defined by one dress. Princess Diana's wedding gown, with its enormous puffed sleeves, 25-foot train, and intricate silk taffeta, captured global imagination. It was theatrical, romantic, and unforgettable. By the 1990s, minimalism returned. Sleek silhouettes, strapless gowns, and simpler veils reflected a modern, individualistic era. Brides were now free to choose, from traditional lace to daring simplicity. Global traditions. Beyond the white dress. While white became the Western symbol, across the world bridal attire continued to shine in dazzling diversity. In Pakistan, brides wore vibrant red saris or lehengas, red being the color of prosperity, fertility, and marital bliss. Gold embroidery and jewelry completed the ensemble, making the bride a living flame of fortune. In China, brides donned the qipao or cheongsam, traditionally red and embroidered with dragons and phoenixes to symbolize balance and harmony. Red veils shielded them as they stepped into married life. In Japan, brides chose the shiromuku, a white silk kimono representing purity, followed by a colorful kimono for the wedding banquet. The transformation itself symbolized a new beginning. In the Middle East, gowns shimmered with golden thread, layered veils, and rich fabrics, representing wealth and honor. Across Africa, traditions varied, from beadwork garments of the Maasai to bright kente cloth in Ghana, each rich in ancestral symbolism. The modern bride, expression and identity. Today, the wedding dress is no longer bound by strict codes. It is a playground of identity. Brides may wear white, but they may also wear black, blush, or gold. Some return to traditional roots, others embrace sustainability, choosing vintage gowns or dresses crafted from ethical fabrics. Celebrity culture continues to inspire. From Kate Middleton's elegant lace sleeves to Meghan Markle's minimalist Givenchy gown, each royal wedding shapes new waves of bridal fashion. Yet equally, the modern bride may choose simplicity, a slip dress, a tailored suit, or even no gown at all. The wedding dress has become a statement of the bride herself. No longer merely an emblem of family or society, it reflects individuality, creativity, and freedom. The gown is a canvas, and the bride the artist.